Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Overwatch, Heroes, and the Hearthstone updates all coming at you today on the Weekly Blizz. I'm Quaz, back to you this week again with my buddy Bags here.
What up?
Back again this week with all the weekly news for esports going on with Blizzard's titles. And let's just get right into it. So Bags, hit us with it. What happened in Heroes?
Well, nothing too major. Week 2 of HGC happened, but I do want to mention that Team Diamond Skin will now be called Playing Ducks, as they were picked up by the German esports org.
Or as we will probably call it every week, Mighty Ducks.
Team Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, so just know what we are talking about.
Because nostalgia for our generation is strong, man.
Because we're old.
Because we're old. Mighty Ducks.
Yes. So what happened?
Anyways, so that was like the only like non-HGC like win-loss news out there.
Right.
But Team Expert and Team 8 are still undefeated. That being said, they do have a couple things in common that I wanted to mention that might be the driving force as to why they're still undefeated. They both have individual playmakers on their team that not necessarily every other team in both HGCs have. Team 8 has Glaurung, and Team Expert has ADRD. And they're both really, really capable Medivh players.
As we've seen.
So, now, you might remember last week when I posted the video of Glaurung saving Yoda with his Medivh portals. Now, I mean, obviously that's awesome. It makes for great video content. Medivh brings a lot to the table for these teams in the draft phase. Now, because they're able to use Medivh effectively in their matches, the other team has to plan for that. They either have to ban Medivh, which wastes a ban and allows the other team to play another strong comp that where they would normally say they would ban Rag.
Yep.
Right? Now they got to ban Medivh because he's a bigger threat to them. And they can't actually play Medivh. They don't have someone good enough to play Medivh on their team because he's such a high skill cap character that even professional gamers aren't able to really like harness his full potential because he's such a high skill cap character.
Yeah.
All right? So now they need to ban Medivh, but that lets Rag through. So now they're able to get Rag, and they're going to play a different comp. They don't even need Medivh. It completely throws a monkey wrench into the draft phase. And in Heroes, as we've seen time and time again, the draft is almost more important than how well you are at playing because the game is still relatively new, so there aren't an absolute plethora of characters to choose from. You like that word usage right there. I know. There isn't a plethora of characters to choose yet. So it's still a little light on the heroes, and the team that's able to draft better is going to win. And Medivh is in such a position where that not everyone's able to play him, so you have to have someone who can play Medivh very well on your team, and that gives you a serious advantage. So these two teams that you hadn't really heard of, you just knew that they had one good player on them, they both have it. They both have that player that's capable of doing that.
Yeah.
And it's proving to be a serious advantage for them so far. Now, with that being said, both teams, now if you take a look at their schedule, they've played what you would probably consider weaker teams in the HGC. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus yet. But, yeah, I said. I'm not there yet. I'm not popular enough and don't have enough notoriety to do such things. So I have to be nice.
But they just haven't played what everybody considers the top.
Correct. They haven't played the top dogs of the HGC. So this week, both teams are going to be tested. Team Expert's going to play Dignitas, and they're also going to play... I can't remember. I'll have to pull the schedule up. They're either playing Fnatic or Misfits, one of the top 3 teams in EU. And then Team 8 is going to be playing Tempo, which is arguably the best team in NA. Yeah. And they're also going to be playing Gale Force Esports, the other really strong team out of NA. So they're going to be really tested this week. We'll see how that plays out. It's something to look forward to this week coming in week 3. The other thing I wanted to mention is B-Step lost again. Now, in their defense, they've only played really what's turning out to be they play Team 8, which is a really good team. Yeah. Turns out they're really good. And they've played Tempo and Gale Force. So they've lost to solid competition. That being said, they haven't really looked good. And this week, hopefully they can turn it around. They're going to play, I don't want to say bottom feeders, but they're playing Team Freedom and No Tomorrow, 2 of the weaker teams in the NAHGC. We'll see if those guys, iDream, King Caffeine and K1, if they still got that little magic left, or if maybe they're done. I don't know. We'll see. Because there's only there's only so many weeks before the mid-season brawl and before the Crucible. It's not every week counts. It's like enough wins that you need to make the playoffs. So same thing here. There's only so many weeks before you're behind the 8 ball, and there's no gaining that ground back.
Yeah.
So if they don't perform this week, they're looking at the Crucible and possibly not being in the HGC at all.
Yeah. But even still, playing like those, bottom tier teams, first of all, if they lose to them, they have some serious problems.
Seriously.
But even if they win to them, it's like, okay, well, we beat, what's considered the lower tier.
Now they're just a mid-level blah.
Yeah, exactly.
Team.
And B-Step used to be Denial, which was the second NA team sent to World Championships. So, where's that flair? Or what happened to
What's
that?
going on, right? Yeah, so we'll see. Week 3 is really going to tell us a lot. Trends are starting to appear. That being said, looking forward to week 3, the Korean Super League starts. So February 3rd. So we finally get and now that we've got there is going to be an English cast. I believe Wolf Schroeder will be doing that along with someone else. I don't remember who. So there will be an English option for that, and we'll be able to get a better idea about what other teams are out there in Korea besides like Tempest and MVP Black.
Well, that's even if Tempest is still what they used to be.
So we'll have a better idea, and we'll get to see what their meta looks like. I know EU and NA are similar but different, but Korea tends to typically be really out there doing way different stuff.
Well, what do you think? How do you think Ballistics is going to be?
You know what? I don't know if this is true, but I heard that they're losing their sponsorship, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know who's going to pick them up. Reigning world champs, but
at the same time, every team has been a reigning world champ at some point.
We haven't had, so that's not, that's an interesting talking point. We don't necessarily need to go down that rabbit hole right now, but there's been no consistent
best team
for any duration of time.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Yep.
Anyways, Korea Super League starts this coming weekend for week 3 of HGC for us over here. There's big tests for established teams and these up-and-comers. So we get to see what's going on. We get to find out to see if B-Step is as bad as they have looked. We get to find out if Team 8 is as good as they have looked. We get to find out if Team Experts is as good as they have looked, how they hold up against these established teams like Team Dignitas and Tempo Storm. The other thing that's happening this week in Heroes is the second EU HGC Open Division tourney is this week. Team Zealot won the first one. We'll see who wins this one, and we'll get that picture will start clearing up. We'll talk more about that, about who it looks like who will be in that Crucible competing for a spot in the HGC.
And now that's starting now at the time of this recording, isn't it?
Correct. It's starting today.
Yeah.
Yep, today. It starts today. But for the most part, that's about it for Heroes as what I've got.
Well, just touching on a few points that you had made. When they interviewed ADRD after their match,
Yep.
They asked, like, what's kind of separating them from these teams? And he said that, he didn't want to call them really the lower tier teams, but that was just kind of like the...
Who's trying to be polite?
Yeah. Okay. Well, also he seems like pretty nice guy. But that was just kind of like the only way really to describe it. But he said what's kind of setting them apart is that they can outdraft. Like with Medivh, they have
it gives them a serious advantage.
And they were even saying that he's the best Medivh player. Right? Yeah, it was ADRD playing Medivh, right?
Yep.
And that he's the best Medivh player over there in Europe.
Yeah.
So he was saying when they go against the Fnatic, Misfits, Dignitas, that he doesn't think that they'll necessarily be able to outdraft them, but that's then when their skills are going to show up too, because these are the top teams. You can't just beat them by outdrafting.
Okay.
So it's going to have to actually come down to
mechanical.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it's going to be a pretty fun week to watch.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. That's about all I got for Heroes, man. Anything exciting with Overwatch? I know they just finished up a big tournament, right?
Yeah, there's some things happening with Overwatch. All right. So first of all, Kangarna got picked up by Ghost Gaming, who are still pretty relatively new organization.
Yeah, I've never heard of them before, so
Me
this is
neither.
new to me.
Their Twitter's been around since last year, from what I saw.
So very new.
I tried to do some research into them.
Were they started up by two guys in a basement like us?
I mean, maybe, which is pretty cool. But they picked up, a really good Overwatch team. So
Okay.
Congarder was picked up by Ghost Gaming, so they got to actually have a sponsor going into the NGE finals, the playoffs, which took place live. So for some of these players, it was their first LAN. I know Immortals have been on LAN before, but it was held at PAX South in Texas. So both the playoff matches were really, really good. So first we saw Immortals versus Luminosity. Now, Immortals have looked so strong, but they had a bit of a hiccup into this. For the second LAN now, their tank, Nomi, had visa issues. I believe he lives in Mexico. So he had visa issues.
There's a wall in the way, isn't there?
There were some things that it was really, really bad timing.
It was too easy to make a wall joke.
Yes.
There,
But it was just not great timing
Okay.
for it to happen. So one of their players, Chance, who he wanted to step back from playing, so he's now Immortals coach.
Okay.
He filled in for him. Now, Nomi...
Convenient that they're able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know the exact tournament ruling on it, but I'm sure... Because, teams can have a sub, and it obviously wasn't his fault,
Yeah.
And...
international travel.
Right, and NGE also announced that the playoffs would be at LAN 2 weeks before it happened. So I don't really know how long it takes for some of this, but that's not that much time when you have to do this. Plus everything that's happening here, not great timing. So, but Nomi has looked like an absolute brick wall on Reinhardt. That was, I think they dropped.
Can we make another wall joke?
So, maybe they should take some pointers from Nomi on Reinhardt for that. But no, his Reinhardt play has been absolutely outstanding. I believe they only dropped one match the whole the qualifying round, and that is in part due to this great tank play by him. So Chance filled in for him. Chance, I think, just stepped back not that long ago, so it's not like he was rusty or anything, and he was on Immortal, so it wasn't oh no, there's somebody we've never played with issue. What helped, though, set them apart or put them over Luminosity was just outstanding play by Grim Reality. And now this kid, and I say this because he really is, I think he's only 18, but his McCree play is some of the best in the world.
Yeah?
I
should take pointers because that's who I play
yes,
when I play Overwatch.
Everybody should take pointers.
All right.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's just solo queuing. People are saying that he's aimbotting, but no, he's just amazing.
He's just amazing?
Yeah.
So because he's only 18,
I believe he is, yeah.
Do you think I could get a good deal on coaching because he doesn't need a lot of money right now in his life?
Hit him up, DM him, see if he'll coach.
Yeah.
But no, his in fact, the way I have it in the show notes here is I put that he was an absolute stud on McCree. When they were going against Luminosity, they were on Temple of Anubis, and his you see that show note there?
I see it now.
And his McCree play was just he kept opening it up for his team to move in.
Yeah.
On the second point, he had a great high noon and was able to help the team move in.
Yep.
And so his play was just absolutely outstanding. On the other side of the bracket, you had Ghost take on Complexity. Ghost also looked very, very strong, also due to their DPS player, Baby Bay. Now, a lot of the time, you see, the team pop a big ult, especially when they had an Ana boost Baby Bay on Soldier. So you had a boosted visor. As soon as that happens, you always see from the other team on defense popping Transcendence or, they break it down on Lucio.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, it's kind of wasting this ult. Yeah, no, not for Ghost.
You can power through it.
Baby Bay still took out their team through a Transcendence with a boosted visor. They threw a biotic grenade also on the team too, which Ana was nerfed though, so that was only 50%. but that helped, and they were able to start separating the team two out of that Transcendence. So it was just amazing play. But yeah, Boosted Visor against Transcendence, Boosted Visor wins. If you're Baby Bay. So that set up a really great final for Immortals vs. Ghost.
Yep.
Now, at first, like looking at this, it's like, okay, yeah, Ghost played really, really good, really, really well in their playoff, but still they were going against Immortals. So, like, yeah, at first I was even thinking like, okay, Immortals should be able to take this fairly, not easily, but like, you know, should be in their favor. Ghost took the first match. It was on first game on Lijiang. Yeah, at one point they captured one of the points 100-0 against Immortals, and that was the first game.
That's an awesome way to start.
Yeah, so you see this and you're like, oh, okay, how is this going to work out?
Yep.
But again, Grim Reality comes out. Their other DPS player, Agilities, which if you've ever seen Agilities on Genji, is just absolutely amazing.
Oh, what a great name for a Genji player, by the way.
Exactly. So really what it came down to, not what it came down to, but what really helped them was Grim Reality on Dorado, on McCree. It was mainly because of him that they were able to finish the map. Mm-hmm. And because it really came down to, it was pretty close towards that last point. And then Agilities on Genji, when they were on Nepal, his Dragon Blade, they were starting to take out Ghost players, but they were still two defending the point, and it was really, really back and forth. But then he popped that Dragon Blade, was able to kill the last two, and then they finally captured it.
Okay.
They won. But it wasn't as one-sided as it appeared. So yeah, they ended up winning 3-1, but it wasn't an easy 3-1 at all. So it was a really, really good final, and they ended up taking. So Immortals ends up taking 40,000, and so I also don't know how that works with Nomi having to miss and Chance. I don't know how they work that kind of stuff out, but you know, it's really, really good for Immortals because now they took first at a LAN, and this tournament that seemed to take forever also started in December, like early December, but now it's exciting to see because then when these other teams come back from Korea, and how they're going to face up against them, it's going to set for a really good NA scene. Because I think that they could keep up with Envious and Cloud9. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, they're who's going to beat who, but I think that those three...
It'll be competitive.
Exactly. And Fnatic coming back too. So I think we're going to have, like, finally a really good NA scene. It's not just going to be, you know, Envious at the top up here and then everybody else. Yeah, I think it's going to be, you know, top 4, like right here.
Okay.
And then it's going to start going down.
Yeah,
but, you know, it's just great to see finally, like,
there's a little more depth to it. Yeah.
Exactly. I hope the EU scene also grows like that too, because the EU scene's a little bit weaker.
Okay.
In terms of the depth of teams.
Yeah, I understand.
But, yeah, it's going to be really good for this NA scene, which, as being based in NA, I'm happy about.
Obviously.
And then, so that happened here. Jump over to Korea. Last week there wasn't too much. There were only 2 matches in Apex Season 2. We had Meta Athena versus BK Stars, and then Lunatic High, who, in my book and a lot of people's opinion, are the number 1 Korean team.
Okay.
Even though last season they ended up getting taken out in the playoffs, I believe. But they went against a Freak of Freaks Red, whose brother team, a Freak of Freaks Blue, won last season. But both Meta Athena and Lunatic High swept their series. They both 3-0'd their opposition, yeah. And it was handedly. So there's honestly not that much to talk about in that because, yeah, it was... You expected Lunatic High to play like that, too. And I wish a Freak of Freaks Blue was in their group instead of Red, just because they've even swapped some of their players too, so that Blue is still the top team.
Yeah.
And then the sister team Red is, you know, they're so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Meta Athena and BK Stars were just Meta Athena like proved that they should be in this season. And same with BK Stars, obviously, but Meta Athena just looked stronger, and they obviously were. They're 3-0'd. But yeah, it really wasn't that competitive, so it was a bit upsetting on that point. But this week, luckily, we're gonna have more matches. Like the season's gonna start picking up. The schedule is really, really wonky how it works. like such as last week there were only 2 matches. So it's really wonky. But yeah, this week should be a lot better. Then coming up in Finland is Assembly Winter, which is sort of like our PAX. But so it's Assembly Winter 2017
Okay.
at the Helsinki Convention and Exhibition Center. And it's February 3rd to 4th, and they're hosting their first pro Overwatch tournament. But it's only 4 teams that are invited. Ninjas in Pajamas,
Which is a great name.
Yeah, Ninjas in Pajamas should be a lot higher than they are because they do play really, really well. But sometimes they haven't been as consistent as they should. So, and I mean, I think that they're going to take this. But you have Ninjas in Pajamas, Helsinki Reds, who are a hockey team that you see a lot of European sports, mainly soccer teams.
Yeah.
Or football for the other viewers.
For our international viewers.
You see a lot of those teams are getting into esports.
Yep.
And so this was actually the first hockey team that did. So that you got the Helsinki Reds. I'm not really sure how to say this team, but it's ENCE Esports. ENCE Esport. I don't know how they pronounce it.
Enchi.
Yeah.
Maybe they're Italian.
And
they
then
say their C's with a chip.
I don't think so because they're Finnish. And then you got Skitlight. It's 4 Finnish teams that are invited to this. It's a double elimination, best of 5 format. So honestly, they're probably gonna finish this whole tournament in a day. But
Not a bad thing.
no, it's not. But they're doing this just to see how it'll work there. Because I don't actually know how big this kind of convention is, but they had said that they hope to be able to expand and invite more teams next year. It'll only be streamed in Finnish, right?
Yeah.
Finnish.
Finice, because they say their SHs with a ch.
But it is available to the community to stream and cast in other languages. So if you want to be able to stream and cast these games too in other languages, so that us and NA can understand what's happening besides just watching, you can go to assembly.org and go to the esports tab and you find Pro Overwatch and you can apply to it there. It's just a simple form, or you could go to gasugamers.net and it's also on there on the Overwatch tab for this tournament. You can just apply to it. And, hopefully we'll be able to get more languages casted for this tournament. It should be pretty good. So switching off of Overwatch into Hearthstone, there was some stuff happening finally last week.
Yep.
So here in NA we had our first Hearthstone major, which is the ONOG, which is our One Nation of Gamers PAX South major. It wasn't what people were hoping it was going to be, because it was a single elimination tournament, which is allowed by Blizzard. It is an allowed format for a tournament for Hearthstone.
Yep.
But no pro likes that.
Yeah, because in Hearthstone, and it's similar to any other card game or game of chance, there is inherent opportunities for you to just get a bad draw.
Yeah.
Like bad luck happens in a card game. And the only way to weed that out is like you have to play a lot, and like part of that's like the fun, like part of that's the draw. Like, this crazy stuff could happen that I could wacky doodle combinations. Wacky doodle, that's a word. I just use that. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is part of that's the draw to a game like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering or even poker. Is like you could get lucky. And it can go the other way, and that can go in your favor. Right. But you can also get there's also bad luck that's involved, and someone ends up on the other end of that. And single elim in an event like that, you're not always going to win every tournament. Just like you don't always get there is no dominant Magic the Gathering play. There's always going to be a different champion, just because someone's going to get lucky in the right game to win. But your consistency is always going to get you in the money, so to speak.
Right.
Toward, you're going to be in the semifinals or the quarterfinals or the final. You're always going to end up there. And in a single elimination situation, it doesn't work out that way because you're not giving the opportunity. You just have to get unlucky once and then you're done.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't even say that you're really seeing who's the best in an area too, because like you said, you could just have a unlucky draw. So you could have somebody who, I'm not saying that they're bad, but just a newer player all of a sudden stomp an established top player,
Yeah.
and it's just because of the draw, and then that player's out because it's single limb. So no pro likes this format. They prefer group play or like a Swiss format or anything that's just not single elimination.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it was the first major for NA for the 2017 season.
Okay.
It was a $10,000 prize.
Which is nice for her.
Yes, and 75 Hearthstone points were distributed throughout the top players.
To build towards trying to go to BlizzCon.
Exactly. But touching on that about how single limb is not great and top players, not getting good draws, you had Orange, Strifecrow, and Amnesiac all eliminated in the playoffs. Now, Amnesiac is even known as, the NA wonderkind, the next great player. And that was it. He was out.
See you later.
Yeah. Amnesiac also went against, though, the who ended up winning the tournament, Lead Paint.
Yep.
And he swept 3-0 in the finals. Yeah, again, for the first major event, it honestly wasn't done that well. Because first of all, they announced it pretty close to the actual event.
Yeah, there's no lead up, right?
No lead up. Two, there wasn't that much info even put out. You had players and casters and people that write about it all tweeting back at the announcement like, "Hey, where can we find information about this?" They didn't really put that much out initially, which that's just not a great start to this tournament, especially for the first major of the season. And the casting itself too, you had Firebat as one of the casters, but they were casting from home, so they weren't actually at the event. And so unless you were watching one of the PAX streams that was at that particular area where they were hosting this, the stream itself wasn't even that great. How they had the cameras were off to the sides of the players too, so you just see the whole background behind them, and it didn't look like a major event, is what I'm trying to say.
It just seems like poorly prepared.
Like that they found out that there was a spot like available for this at the last minute, and Blizzard said, or not necessarily Blizzard, but they were just Onog, because they're the ones who hosted it, just said, "Oh hey, let's get this going here, right now." And I'm not talking bad about Onog, because Onog is great. They're always helping people that want to get into the Hearthstone scene. Onog is your way to go, and that's what's great about them, because they do push up, up and coming players with all these kinds of events that happen, just like this. But I just think that the preparation for it wasn't done as well as they've had other events, because I've seen other events that they've put on that were just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So I just think granted, yes, maybe they found out last minute that they could do this and they tried to rush it out and that was as best that they could do, but unfortunately it's not good
didn't come
for the
out great.
scene.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
it didn't
And
look
I
good.
feel that Blizzard is known for a company to, first of all, when it comes to their games, if something's not what they think is up to their standards, they just won't push it out, or they'll just keep delaying it. I feel like they should do the same thing, and they listen to the people that play the games and pros in every game too, and they adjust the games as they need to. I feel like they also need to do this for tournament formats, because if every pro hates a single tournament elimination style,
It shouldn't be an option.
it shouldn't. And not just because the pros don't like it, because someone could take it as, oh, boo-hoo, they lost, they're just salty about it. It's not that. It just really is a poor format for a professional tournament. So I feel like Blizzard
for a game, for a card game.
Yeah, but no matter what, though, still, even in Heroes, you see people complain about single limb tournament, which it's also the same. Yeah, it's having a losers bracket also helps teams like get back into it.
Yeah.
So yes, I feel like they should,
And that's why they have one.
exactly. So I feel like Blizzard on their end, they should also completely get rid of that in their rule set, that's an acceptable format, and just say no more.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can fix that for the next event. But still, again, for an event that was thrown with relatively no time known to people, still was a decent prize pool, good amount of Hearthstone points for
$10,000
for the
is not
future
to sniff at,
championship, and the championship also coming up in Bahamas.
Bahama.
So get your passports ready to go to that. Then you also have Trinity Series finally continuing this week, which, for those that don't know, Trinity Series is actually a team-based Hearthstone League, which is pretty fun. February 1st, which is this week.
Yeah, that's like
Thursday?
in 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to continue, and you have teams already looking pretty strong. G2 looks strong. Tempo Mage deck actually made a comeback because an Anyfin Paladin deck has just been stomping. So Tempo Mage actually made a comeback at one point.
Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
to finally put a squash to that.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a lot of old style meta come out.
Yeah,
Not a lot,
yeah,
but you are seeing old style meta come back in
Interesting.
this, and just new stuff like Anyfin Paladin, which I'm a fan of that because I love Murlocs. I absolutely love Murlocs. I would have a fleet of pet Murlocs if they were real. Unfortunately, they're not. So, yeah, I love that deck though.
Okay.
But yeah, so you're seeing that do really well. So Trinity Series is a fun event to watch if you can, or just to at least follow along with and to see how these teams are doing this. Also, if you want to get into a team-based Hearthstone format, it's also a nice way to see how they
run it. Okay.
Yeah. So other than that, that's actually all the news I have for this week.
That about wraps it up, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah. And we'll see you and
Next week.
talk to you next week on the Weekly Blizz.
Peace out.
You know, the world could always use more heroes.